vote for Calder Trophy for the Rookie of the Year in the National Hockey League, and of course now a Stanley Cup champion. Brandon, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. I know it's been very, very busy for you. Now you've had a week for everything to kind of sink in. Take us back to the moment when you raised the cup and the celebration that came afterward.
Just a dream come true. You know, it's something you work for your whole life, and luckily I got to finish it in my first year. So it was a great feeling, and it's something I'm going to work for to continue to get.
It was great to watch an Original Six final, the first one since '79, since Montreal and the Rangers got together. Seeing those uniforms and those, the historic look to that series. Let's go back to Game 6 in Boston. The Bruins lead. It looks like a Game 7 perhaps coming up at the United Center, but you got a couple of late goals in the third period. Describe that bench when first Brian Bickle scored and then obviously Dave Bolin got the cup winner.
Yeah, we were down a goal, and we were just all positive, trying to fight back. There's still a little bit of time left, and Caesar made a great pass there to Bix, and he put it on to tie it up, and I think there's still a minute or so left, or a minute something. And we're just trying to keep that momentum. We scored a goal, and we're going to keep that momentum and try to finish it before going into intermission before overtime. So that was a shot tip, and Bolin made a nice goal there in front of the net battling, and the rest is history.
Brandon, take us to the situation. Obviously, you tie the game. How do you, keep it business-like while at the same time trying to control, which has to be a huge amount of adrenaline?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, even when we scored that goal to take the lead, there's still 50 seconds, which is enough time to score. You saw Boston do it to Toronto, and they're a good team. So
good point. Yeah.
We took that lead with 50 seconds, and even though we were all excited and felt like we won, we had to calm down a little bit and still finish off the job because anything can happen.
Give us one moment throughout the course of the playoffs that may stick out the most for you. It could be something subtle. Could be, a play that was made that involved yourself or something, that you witnessed from the bench. But is there a moment, I mean, there's got to be a ton of them, but is there one particular moment that kind of resonates with you throughout the course of the playoffs that really hit home with you?
Like you said, there was a ton of them, but I think just that Detroit series in general, being down 3-1 and battling back and winning in Game 7 overtime, I think that was a huge moment for me and our team because if it could have puck bounced their way, we could have been out in the second round. So I think that series was definitely huge.
Talk about Joel Quenneville as a coach. Obviously, a lot of success, a couple of Stanley Cups in the last 4 years under his tenure. A former Ontario Association player, the old OHL's equivalent, the old Ontario Hockey Association with the Windsor Spitfires. Talk about him as a coach, both in terms of his ability to manage a bench and, the personal approach that he would have with players, the one-on-ones and that kind of thing.
Yeah, he's a great coach. I mean, it's my first time being in the NHL, obviously, so I haven't had any other NHL coaches. But he, from what I've seen, he does a great job. You know, he knows when to give players their rest and respects the players, and you can see that the players respect him back. He knows how to treat guys, and he knows what he's doing. So he did a great job, and with adjustments and things like that during the playoffs, and just overall, just a great coach to see what the success he has.
A couple of things that really stuck out for me in the playoffs. Number one was the outstanding television ratings through the NBC properties, and that has to make you feel great. Obviously, you had two large markets in the Stanley Cup final and whatnot, but throughout the course of the playoffs, the numbers were extremely strong in terms of the television viewership. And the other thing, too, you go back to that Stanley Cup final, I believe 16 players that graduated from the Ontario Hockey League participated in that series. So those two components are just great for the game of hockey. And obviously you being an ex-OHL player, it had to make you feel good to sort of look around and see a lot of players that graduated from the league, some that you played with celebrating, or in Boston's case, obviously going to the Stanley Cup final but falling a little short.
Yeah, I mean, the OHL is a great league. You see how many players come out of there. And this year was definitely kind of a storybook year with how many original six matchups on both sides and how many teams, and then the four teams in the past 4 years win the Stanley Cup, being the last four teams standing. So, with the walkout, it was kind of storybook how the season worked out, and exciting for the fans and definitely the players. So it was a great year for hockey, and you could see that through the ratings.
How excited are you? How much pride do you take in the fact that the Pittsburgh area is really starting to generate an awful lot? I really think that the Pittsburgh area under Mario Lemieux, I think Mario Lemieux, I won't say saved hockey in Pittsburgh necessarily, but certainly he was at the forefront of the renaissance of the Penguins franchise. And yourself from Pennsylvania, obviously Vincent Trocheck will be a Florida Panther before long. Jimmy Lodge, who just got drafted by the Winnipeg Jets, a member of the Spirit from Pennsylvania. You have to be very, very pleased that your hometown area is really starting to, become part of the forefront of hockey in the United States, along with, California, the St. Louis area, Texas, and whatnot. But it's really becoming very broad.
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, hockey's always been picking up, and like you said, with Lemieux doing the things he's done for this city, it's a huge part of the reason why that's happening. So I know being younger, it wasn't as popular, and you could see growing up how everything's picked up, and especially with the Penguins having success too. So the city has picked up, and that definitely makes it more exciting with seeing people enjoying the sport more, because it's a great sport, and it's fun to be a part of.
With Brandon Saad, and let me ask you this, and I don't know how much this floated in your mind, but a lot of people fancy the chance of seeing a Chicago versus Pittsburgh Stanley Cup final. That obviously fell short, but did it roll around your head a little bit as it got to the Final Four that maybe you'd be up against the team that you cheered for all your life?
Yeah, definitely. That's something that popped into my mind, but at the same time, we just wanted to make it as a team, and as myself to make it to the Stanley Cup, so if it would have worked out to beat Pittsburgh and to be able to play at home, it would have been a lot of fun. But like I said, regardless, it didn't matter who we played. We just wanted to get there and to win.
We talked about this earlier on, and just the heritage of the Chicago Blackhawks franchise, and what it's meant in the National Hockey League, and showing guys like Tony Esposito and Bobby Hull and Stan Mikita relishing in this Stanley Cup win, and obviously the one a couple of years ago. The last time the Chicago Blackhawks had won the Stanley Cup prior to these two was 1961. That core had some near misses in the 60s. 71 and 73, they lost the Cup final to the Montreal Canadiens. So, in looking at those, Hall of Fame players and the looks on their faces when this was all coming together, that had to mean a lot to the franchise as well, having those guys, present and a big part of what you're doing today.
Yeah, it's awesome to have those guys around. You see them having success back then, and to be able to stick around and enjoy the game and love the game as much as they do. They're great players, and to have them be present and to see us have success too, and how happy they are, it's a special moment for us as a team and as fans too. It's definitely exciting.
What also has to be exciting is the fact that basically the core of this group remains intact. I think Stan Bowman, the general manager of the Blackhawks, has done a wonderful job of accumulating talent while doing it under the structure of a salary cap. The team re-signed Brian Bickle, who was a tremendous part of that run for you guys, a former OHLer as well. And, you said goodbye to David Bolin as part of a deal to get some draft picks back. But you've got that core, and you've got Andrew Shaw that's got the grit, and you draft Ryan Hartman in the first round from the Plymouth Whalers. Hopefully Garrett Ross will get his opportunity to contribute to the effort. So from a standpoint of forwards with a lot of grit and a lot of talent and whatnot, that core remains intact, and that's got to be exciting for you.
Yeah, definitely. Our team this year, it's the big reason why we had success is with our depth and our core guys. So the core guys have all had success with winning the cup, and now we have even more. So we had a lot of depth in throughout the system. So yeah, we did part ways with a couple guys, and you hate to see them go, but that's just part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of depth in our system, and we're looking to have success every year. So I think with the team that we have, it's definitely going to help out with that core, like you said, and we got a great group of guys, and we're going to continue to have success.
Brandon, take us to the parade that obviously was the after effect of the Stanley Cup win. Just a tremendous environment. I mean, every time a city wins a championship, obviously, it is just a surreal environment. But take us to that parade and the celebration that occurred in Chicago, one of the great cities in the United States, great sports towns. And, you guys were the talk of the town, despite the fact the Cubs are there, the White Sox are there, everyone's gearing up for the Bears season and whatnot. But I'll tell you what, looking at that parade, it must have been just a marvelous, marvelous place to be.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely a special moment and something I really look forward to, because winning the game like we did, it was tough and so surreal that it almost didn't sink in yet. And having a couple days and seeing pictures and thinking about it a little bit, by the time the parade came and being able to see all those fans going crazy and cheering and how excited they were that we're bringing the cup back to the city of Chicago, that was definitely one of the best moments of it. So,
Brandon, when do you get the Stanley Cup, and what are your plans for it?
I'm not sure actually. When I do get it, I'm probably towards the end of the list with being a young guy, so I'm sure I'll find out here pretty soon. But right now, I'll definitely have some family and friends and be excited and sharing it with people, but I'm not sure yet when it's coming.
Well, that'll be a great experience when you're able to take it to your hometown area and whatnot. That's something that certainly I know players in the past that I've talked to that have won cups certainly relishes that opportunity for your family to be involved with it and all that kind of thing. So that'll be something that'll be very, very good for you moving forward. And just before we let you go, Brandon, we talked about this before last year. The Hawks were witness to the LA Kings raising the Stanley Cup banner in their home opener. Now you get to turn it around and have it happen in your building this year. So obviously a little dress rehearsal this past season, but this time around it's all for the Hawks fans and whatnot, and that'll be just another tremendous moment to cap off what was the Stanley Cup run.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's looking forward to that, and it's going to be another exciting year, so that's going to be a fun game to be part of as well.
And just before we say goodbye, obviously the Saginaw Spirit and the Great Lakes Bay region has been a part of your build-up to what has happened this season, and certainly I know that you've got some fond memories of the area here in Saginaw and what it's done to help you get to the point you're at. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I appreciate everything Saginaw has done for me. It's a stepping stone, and it was just part of my career, so it did a lot for me, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brandon, you've always been a great guy when it comes to getting back to us and helping us out with interviews such as this. Congratulations on the entire season. Obviously, the Calder Trophy finalist nod, and of course, winning the Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks. We appreciate the time very much, and we'll talk to you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Take care.